is happening, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Why Did I Buy a Mini Truck? This episode is very exciting because we are going to be firing up our King Cab for the very first time. So I'm extremely excited about that. Some of the stuff we got buttoned up in here in the engine bay, you can see we already have filled our radiator up with some coolant. There are a couple small things I need to do in here still, but that will not affect us being able to fire it up. Like I need to build a harness for our fans down here, then run them along this way, put them to our relays, and then have our power run back to our auxiliary fuse panel. Got our air filter housing all bolted up. I do want to change this out eventually, but for now I think it'll work just fine. Made sure that everything was nice and tight. I did have a loose V-band down there, and I went to go tighten it. It looked like it had stripped out, so I had to pull that off. We did bleed our brakes and our clutch, so no leaks there, which is awesome. Trans has fluid in it. We're running an 8090 Ultra Plus One fluid, and then our engine oil, we just have some Castrol GTX high mileage with a quart of Lucas Oil engine stabilizer. The high mileage stuff, just because this thing hasn't run in a little bit, I went ahead and poured it all over our valve train and then put our valve cover on with our new gasket. So that's pretty exciting. Back here, we have our air compressor stuff all wired up. We have all of our grounds landed everywhere. We're running our Evil Energy 15-gallon fuel cell. This thing was fairly inexpensive and I highly recommend it. It did come a little bit damaged. One of the tabs got bent up in shipping, but I was able to bend it back out. No issues to the weld area, just some of the powder coat flaked off, which wasn't a huge deal. We have this Uni anti-slosh breather right here. It's a -6, so we have a little adapter to go from -10 to -6. I think later on I might make a little line that runs off of here, maybe runs, I don't know, back here somewhere, so it can vent, not be just right on top of the tank. And then let's walk over to the other side of the truck and I'll show you guys kind of some stuff over there. All right, so over here we have everything all buttoned up. We have our airbox on, we have our wiring all set up. So this right here, these are our fusible links. They run this way and then into our cab. Right here is a little junction block. This junction block comes here and it's where it gets our power from. And this is nice because if we ever need a jump start or anything, we have it right here. This runs down to our frame down there, which is really nice. Get a good solid ground. And then the wire that actually runs from the bottom of the jumper post runs over here and lands down on our firewall. And then there's actually a wire that goes from our firewall bulkhead to our starter. So that's pretty nice. Everything's nice and tidy in here. And then we got our fuel filter right here. So we have our -6 come in. It's got a 45 on it. It goes to our filter, and then 45's up. It goes to our fuel rail. So that's pretty nice. Everything under here is nice and buttoned up. Double checked all the nuts and bolts. All of our brakes are nice and good now, since that's all bled out. Everything in here is really nice. There are a few small things I want to do, like I want to make some limit straps or something so that when we go to jack up the truck, the upper control arm doesn't rest on our upper bag mount. And then when we go to air out all the way, I think I'm going to try to get something set up that bolts to here so we can go ahead and have a little bump stop for when we go cruising this way. If something happens to our air system, we can still get it home. Pretty good shot under here. Some of the stuff, it's all brand new, so it's pretty nice. Why don't we go ahead and dive inside of the truck really quick. So over here you can see we got our battery all mounted up. We have our breaker there. So that wire I showed you guys, I'm just kind of buttoning up some stuff in here. We have to get the jacks foreplay and our gauges bolted up under there, but we're just kind of working our way through. So that wire comes through the bulkhead right down there. You can kind of see that red thing. It runs underneath our carpet right along here, cuts up, comes back toward the battery, and then goes to our breaker there. Now that is a 300 amp breaker. It's resettable, and then we have our line that goes from our battery to our breaker, and that goes straight up to our terminal. So that's pretty nice. Probably won't keep it like this. I just happen to have a well nut in the floor right there that would work pretty well. And it's a small enough hole in the carpet that you wouldn't see it if we decided to move it somewhere else. But it's a pretty good shot right here of the relay panel. Some stuff in there, obviously we have to clean up our wiring, but everything is all nice and hooked up, so I'm very excited about that. Everything is labeled, which is really exciting. It's definitely the correct way to do it. But I'm pretty much just coming in here and getting all this stuff buttoned up underneath the truck, from pretty much from right about here to right about here. I have to secure the fuel and brake lines. I got them pretty much tidied up over here, but definitely have to go underneath the truck and get some of that stuff all buttoned up. If you haven't seen it before, this is our exhaust. So our exhaust runs under here. We have 2 hangers right there. Just ignore the jack with the wood on it. I used it to level the frame out because when we filled up the trans fluid, the gear oil was kind of leaking out of the back of that seal where the drive shaft goes in. So I had to pull the drive shaft off, replace that seal, and then put it back in, but I didn't want to have it kind of tilted the way it was before, so I kind of leveled the truck out. But our exhaust runs through here like this. Got a nice little hanger right there, and then this runs down here. So we have a V-band here, V-band there, so this mid pipe can come off. We have a V-band obviously back for our tips. You can change the tip out if you want, or put a muffler. And then it runs underneath. Let's see if we can hop up under here. Oh yeah, I also did spray this part of the frame like kind of like a chrome. It looks kind of like shit because of the liner on it, but so our exhaust runs like this. This is our V-band. Comes under here. We got another bracket. Like right there is our bracket. That runs up underneath, and then goes over there. So why don't we hop over to our headers? So this is a pretty good shot of what we're looking at. So our headers just barely clear the body. Come up right here. All new hardware. Kind of made sure that all this stuff is cleaned up and replaced as needed. So went ahead and got this brake line wrapped up in some high temp sheathing, and just kind of wanted to make sure we keep the temps down everywhere. We got to button up this O2 sensor wiring that's going to run along the inside of the firewall. And here's a pretty good shot of the harness that runs through here. This is our emergency pull cable, runs into our door, so if we ever need to pop it we can, and then we get to come up here and button up some of the wiring just over there. So nothing too crazy. Very excited to hear this thing fire up for the first time. So with that being said, what I'm going to go ahead and do is get those lines tidied up under there, and then we're going to double check some stuff in our engine bay to make sure that we are good to go for first startup. Make sure everything is tight over here. Double check our belt. Make sure we have some coolant ready to go, and then we'll fire this thing up. We'll run it, and we will go ahead and get our cooling system bled, heat it up, get these headers to heat up and smoke all this out with the wrap smoke. If you have wrapped headers, you know that these things love to smoke a lot. Since we wet wrap these, they're going to smoke a fair amount. I do have to also tidy up this brake booster hose. It actually mounts like right here, so I'm going to go ahead and do that as well. But I'm very excited about that. I do got to build the harness that goes to the cooling fans, but that's not a big deal. Should be fairly easy. So our air system on this thing, 2 Vivair 444Cs. They feed our tank, and our tank is nicely powder coated satin black to match the rest of the satin black, and then we have just a carbon wrap on it. But I really like the floating design. These are just like your standard heavy duty mounts. These can go like on your frame or wherever. The most popular place is on the frame with these things, and I originally was going to mount them in the back here, actually on the back side of the bar that the 4-link bolts to, but I optioned to not do that. I really like the setup. I like how it looks back here. It's just all floating. The same thing with the tank. So everything is nice and secured. I definitely think that this will last. I did test run the compressors. I know you're not supposed to, but I test ran them just for a few seconds. Obviously it didn't build any pressure because the inside is disconnected, but I just wanted to make sure that they both kicked on and all the wiring was good, and it was, which was great. So I'm very excited about that. Our brake proportioning valve, that thing was super fun. I did find out how it worked, of course, when I went to go bleed our brakes. Turns out I had it the wrong way. I had it all the way closed. and then I turned it the other way, and then we had some fluid, so that was great. I did also go ahead and high heat wrap with some Thermal Zero the brake line that runs right here pretty close to the exhaust. This seems to be a little bit lower than ride height, but I don't want to risk cooking that brake line. So we should be good between the wrap on the exhaust and the wrap on the brake line. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this stuff buttoned up. I will see you guys when we are ready to fire up this truck for the very first time. So I just want to say thank you to everybody who's been watching. You know, I think it's really cool. You guys have seen this thing go from what it was before to what it is now. It's really cool. It's a really cool experience. So I will catch you guys in the next clip. All right, guys, so we are all ready for the first start. Let's go ahead and see what happens. Got the fuel system all done. Oh, fuel pump's on. Let's see, I'm just gonna put you guys right here because I gotta put the clutch down. Alright, so I know it wasn't much, but you got those two little clips. I did let it run for a little bit, I let it smoke. I did bleed all of the coolant. Everything is good there. So I was just in here testing a few things. I did just get my fans wired up right here. So if we go ahead and click this switch on, and here our fans power up. Got the relays mounted right here. Everything kind of run through here. I gotta tidy up that wiring still, but man, those things are loud. So I got them both hooked up to just one switch for now. I was having a really hard time fitting this switch on one of these little block off pieces. It was very difficult to do, and I wouldn't recommend it. I broke quite a few trying it, but luckily I had some spares. But yeah, just click it on. The light turns on this one, which is really cool because, you know, if we run our underglow, we actually have a light that turns on down here at the bottom. The underglow is not on right now, but this will be nice. I'm gonna write a little label that just says like fan. So that is definitely exciting. Now there are still a few little things that I have to get buttoned up on here, nothing crazy. I did get that wiring all tucked up and the brake lines tucked up underneath the cab. So those are nice and secured with some P-clips and a few zip ties, so it should be perfect. I did also want to get this harness built, so this took a little bit of time to get it all cleaned up and wired, getting the relays mounted over here and then running everything up underneath. So the wiring for this runs right along the rest of our wiring up here and then just runs in right there. So we gotta tidy up some wires in the engine bay just to make sure that we're not gonna have any issues, and I need to go ahead and get this lower center stack put in place so that I can finally run the compressors when the truck is running, and hopefully we can get this thing down on all four wheels by tomorrow. So looking forward to that. That is pretty much going to wrap it up. I know it's pretty anticlimactic. Not a really long clip of the truck running or anything, but there's a lot that you have to look at when you do fire something up for the first time, especially something that has a bunch of brand new parts. I mean, I was inside the cab checking behind the carpet and stuff to make sure that the heater core wasn't leaking. I was, you know, checking for coolant leaks, fuel leaks, any leaks from the transmission. So there's quite a few things that you have to kind of check out while you're doing this stuff. So it was pretty chaotic. It's just me filming. I didn't want to overlook something or have an issue because I was focused more on filming. Anyway, I promise I will have a good running driving video of this thing very shortly. Probably the next video that comes out, we will take this thing for a spin. I'll give you a rundown of everything inside the truck, and hopefully get it to some car shows this coming weekend. So I appreciate everybody watching. Thank you so much. We're like 430 something subscribers, which is crazy. It's cool that a lot of you guys are enjoying the build, and you know, seeing the things that I'm doing in here with nothing. I mean, the truck is on 6 jack stands right now. I wish I had a lift, but like not everybody has one, right? So anywho, I appreciate every single one of you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and until the next one, peace.